Woo! Hello. Welcome to Love is Awakened. My name is Emma, and we're here today to talk about a comment from my video, Change is Easy. And I had a couple of comments on there with questions, and I have already responded to one of them. This is the second one on how to work with beliefs. I'm going to read it out to you. But yes, beliefs really form our reality, and we live with subconscious beliefs which mirror back to us in our reality. This is how reality works. We create our reality through our state of being. Our state of being is created by our thoughts, emotions, and when we become conscious, it is created through our conscious state. And this is where we get to begin to experience our power, our true power as human beings. And we get to co-create our life. We get to live in harmony with ourselves, our inner experience and our outer experience. And this is where things get really exciting and playful and fun. And we continue to work with our beliefs, our conditioning, because it continues to unravel, it continues to show itself to us as we are living life. Like I said, because it continues to mirror back to us through our experiences. Some beliefs we find when we become conscious and we relate to our experience in a more present sense, in a more present way, our beliefs can actually sort of arise. We can have this experience of literally subconscious beliefs, like you begin to hear them almost like you hear your thoughts. And that way we can work with these beliefs. Or if we're not conscious of them, if they don't arise through presence, through living in the open space awareness that we are, they will mirror back to us in reality. And this is where we become triggered by things. Something arises and it's like, oh, that's, whatever the reaction is to the thing. But that's how we also get to see and learn about our subconscious beliefs. They show themselves through the experiences that we have. And then we get to be curious and conscious as we react to our reality, and then we work with that, and we bring presence and awareness to those experiences. And this is how we shift our beliefs and our reality. So that was a bit of an introduction. I'm going to read out the question. And this is from Olga. Hello, sister. Thank you for asking your question. It says, what if the belief behind your patterns is a sense of unworthiness? Is being aware of it and not going there enough? Is being aware of it and not going there enough? The sense of unworthiness. And I want to, there are so many different ways that we can, work with this and dissect it in a way. So I'm just sort of preempting that, because there isn't just like one response. So many of us are experiencing some sort of unworthiness, belief around unworthiness. But I also want to just make it very clear that from the perspective that I look at the world, from the way that I experience reality myself, I hold the perspective that every limiting belief comes down to the belief of the separate self. If we don't believe ourselves to be separate, we also know that there is no limitation. We also know that we are free. This is what liberation is, right? It is the liberation from the beliefs that hold us back. And as we awaken, as we awaken first to the knowing of our essence as oneness, the non-dual realization, we sometimes I just completely forget what I was saying. It happens to me often, actually, when I start speaking about the formless state. I honestly think it's because I just like go there and then it's like no words. At first, we will come to this realization, and this is the funny thing, because this happened to me. I came to that realization, and for a while I was like, oh, I'm done. Like it's all gone. All the beliefs were gone. There was a very beautiful sense of freedom. And then all these like beliefs like kept, like they started coming back, like they started showing themselves again. And of course it becomes completely different when you relate to them through this awareness. But that is just to say that even after awakening to the non-dual reality and awakening to the truth of what we are, we still have a way to go to really ground and anchor into that knowing, and for our identity to shift into the sort of, I don't really want to say like shift into the formless state, because I don't really experience it that way. It's more of a shift into the nothingness and the everything, because you're still experiencing life as a human being. It's just with the knowing that, one, you are consciousness. Two, there is no limitation, even though there looks to be limitation in this physical being. So there's also this like expansive knowing that I am everything around me, and that is the anchoring that we end up in post awakening, right? And in this process of shifting in identity, we are also working with beliefs. So even though, and to add to that, within that, really what we're working with is the continuous disentangling of the belief to be separate, which is of course very, very, like, you know, very, very deep in our subconscious programming, because this is how we have been relating to everything ever since we, you know, formed the sense of self at a very young age, right? So really, when we're working with beliefs, from my perspective, we are not working with the belief itself. We are working with the belief to be separate. And that is, from my perspective, the most effective way of removing, I would say not removing, but shifting the perspective on the beliefs that we are holding from our conditioning. So all of this is just to kind of lay the foundation, because this is really important, because people can be talking about beliefs in many different ways. And people approach them from different perspectives. I personally am approaching from the non-dual perspective, the perspective of oneness, the perspective of that the main thing that we want to do is recognize the truth of what we are. Because that is what liberates us. That is what creates the, not just the shifting of perspective on our limiting beliefs, but also recognizing the true power that we are as creator itself. Nevertheless, I am gonna approach this belief, because here's the beautiful thing. Even if we haven't gotten to that space of recognizing the truth of what we are, we can literally use our own spiritual exploration of the truth of what we are to shift beliefs. So let me get to your question. When you express, you say, is being aware of it and not going there enough? You're definitely like on the right path here. My consideration here would be that there is still a resistance within this approach, because it's like, oh, okay, I can see I have this belief, let me just not look at it and let me turn my focus onto something else. This is how many people, spiritual teachers, have been teaching in the past. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of similar to like manifestation. It's like, focus on what you want and that's what you will get, right? Because our reality mirrors our state of being, right? The tendency here, like, I'm not negating that, but the tendency is that we also have a slight bit of spiritual bypass within that, where it's like, I don't like this thing, you know. It's kind of like a little bit of this like love and light kind of approach, where it's like, let me not look at the shadow. Like, I'm definitely not saying this is what you're doing. I'm just like illuminating this, like there is a small piece of that in that approach, is all I'm saying. So, you know, it's like, okay, let me not look at that. Let me look at this instead. The thing is, there is a slight resistance there. And I'm not going to say it's impossible to do it that way. I am going to say that my approach is a lot more effective. My approach would be, okay, I'm having an experience in life where this pattern is showing itself, and I can, you know, you're showing a great amount of awareness there already, because you're seeing your pattern and you can see the belief behind that pattern. And that's really powerful in itself. So kudos. And so you're in this experience, it's like, oh, okay, this pattern is arising again. Okay, I can sense the sense of unworthiness. You shift this unworthiness by looking at it. You shift this this unworthiness through it's a little bit tricky to like summarize, but I'm gonna try. This unworthiness, okay, so unworthiness is arising in me. Okay, let me Let me open to this unworthiness. Let me look at it. Allow it to be there. Allow it to fill my body with discomfort, if that is what it's doing. Because this sense of unworthiness holds a key for you. That's why it's arising. It's arising because it's showing you something. It's showing you a limitation. It's showing you a belief in limitation. It is another way for you to access the truth of what you are. And you do that by welcoming it. So I've mentioned this before. This is a very simple and foundational practice. And it's a little bit tantric as well. Because what it is instead of turning away, I'm turning towards. What we need here, as we're working with beliefs, as we're working with trauma, as we're working with things that are sitting within our being that wants to be seen, to be that crack of light that is going to make us see the even deeper truth of what we are. No, I forgot where I started that conversation, that sentence again. It is in its core an invitation to look at it in order to see the actual truth. That what you're believing is based in your belief to be limited, your belief to be small. And that's not true. That's not true. So no matter what the belief is, no matter if it's unworthiness or anything else, it is a tapping on your shoulder to remind you that's not what you are. Look closer, look deeper. So it is a bit of a tantric practice. And this is what I wanted to say. It's really important within this exploration, like I said, no matter if it's trauma or anything else, especially if it's something that does sometimes some of it is going to be like, whoa, it's like a wave of like discomfort that you haven't dealt with, right? And that can feel tricky at first, which is why it's really important that we have our anchor. And so I keep coming back to this. This is why I created the course that I'm creating. This is also what I teach at the foundational stages of my one-to-one work, because this is where it all begins. If we want to shift our reality and recognize the truth of what we are, it is going to start at the place of having that anchor in our heart and have our own access to the knowing that we are divine, no matter what that looks like. So this is where it starts to get a little bit more intricate, and I'm not gonna go into all of that in this video. But if you have your anchor, you can turn towards anything that happens in your experience. You can literally go anytime you feel a discomfort, you're like, hello, coming in, and literally your reality shifts so quickly. It shifts so quickly because you're energetically shifting how you're relating to that experience. So the belief of unworthiness arises, and you're like, hello, I'm opening up to this. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing the truth of what this is. Because they might be showing you things. They might be showing you memories of like where this belief first was formed, etc., etc. And you're just holding space for it. You're just applying love to it. So it's similar, right, to what you were saying in a sense, but it's not a spiritual bypass. It is a turning towards and not being afraid of what's there. And as we do that, the whole energy of it shifts. We receive clarity instead of discomfort or turning away, or let me replace that with something in an active way. It's literally replaced with clarity naturally, because this is how we are naturally designed to work with discomfort in the dual reality. This is what animals do. They're meeting an experience and they deal with it, like they process it straight away, because they don't have that sense of turning away. Potentially if they're like super duper traumatized. But that's usually there's usually like humans involved in that, so let's not get into that conversation. But this is our natural way of being. We just forgot, but this is how we are designed to work with our reality. And it's always from the perspective, the knowing of what we are. And as we deepen that knowing, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and it becomes more and more clear the true boundless nature of what we are. So as you're working with your conditioned beliefs arising in your reality, in your everyday life, you're literally also chipping away at the belief of being a separate being. The two go hand in hand, which is why I love this approach. It's literally awakening through your everyday life. And of course, you can also do like, all of these different meditations and things to, to get to that realization, the non-dual realization. You can do that through self-inquiry, etc. But you're going to get to this point either way, where you're going to need to work with the beliefs that are within the conditioning of your body and your subconscious mind. Because that doesn't just change because you woke up. The waking up is the first step. It's the first stage, really. And then, like I said, and then there is this deepening and deepening, and the shift in identity that really like programs itself into the subconscious. So it becomes the effortless reality. And that is where we experience a lot of peace and joy and ease. Because we are so grounded in our natural state, which is peace, joy, ease. It's almost like putting a a dot on the conversation. Thank you for that, Poppy. Yes, I saw them. There were people walking past, I know. That's everything. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, if you want more clarity. Like I said, it's you can only go so far, but I am definitely here to give as much as I can through these videos. And you know, check out my Patreon. We're starting group calls on there where we can also ask questions. And right now it's only $5 a month. It will go up at some point. My one-to-one work is, of course, more like getting straight to it. The people that I work with are actually getting like really great results, which is really amazing to see that what I have moved through for myself in my own journey of, you know, working through trauma and you know, mental health issues, etc., is literally like also helping other people. So that is like, it makes me so incredibly happy that the decoding that I have done throughout the years that I have been exploring this and deepening in my own awakening, removing of conditioning, and really moving into this this other state of identification with the one is, you know, it's really beautiful to see that, like, yeah, like this fucking, like, this is the shit. You know, this, it makes me so, like, I'm, like, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. It's also so fucking cool. Like, reality is just so cool. And it just becomes so much fun when we get out of the trenches, you know, get out of the trenches of the limitations that we put on ourselves. And this, you know, the belief of being that small, separate self is like, you're not supposed to live there. You are not supposed to, that's not your natural state. And it is so freaking possible to just, bam, liberate yourself. That's what we're here to do. That's literally what we're here to do. We forgot. There was a time when human beings, this was so natural. And there's still communities today where this is so natural. It's not even a thing. Like, and that just makes me laugh. Like, honestly, it just makes me laugh that there are, you know, indigenous tribes where I swear if they like knew the conversations we're having, they'd be like, what? You know, they're like, what? Really? You know, because it's so obvious. It's not a thing. And that's how simple it is. That is not to say that it's, you know, that I don't have compassion for the journey and, you know, the all of that. Not at all. Been there myself. So, you know, it's just like when you're looking at it from the other side, it's like, man, we made it so hard. Like, it's not that hard. It's very simple. And it is the natural way of being. And there, you know, there are so many people now that like, that knows. And that knows how to work with this. And I'm one of them. So thanks for being here. Thanks for asking your question. Comment, like, subscribe, share this video if it helped you. And, you know, let's fucking wake up together. You know, it's so fucking amazing We're so amazing. Human beings are so amazing. And what we're doing here is so amazing. So be the love. Be the love. Be the love. Okay. Blessings. Have a beautiful day. And we'll speak soon. Mwah, 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 mwah.